Hello, everyone. This is Demia Avery in conjunction with ConnectCapeFear.com. And listen, we have a very special guest. In the house, we have Drew Smith, Director of Communications for Copiers Plus. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. And we've met before, right?
We have. Yep. About 2 years ago, me and my VP of Sales had an interview with you. Yeah, it was just down the street.
Awesome, awesome. So we wanted to make sure we bring them back because they always have something great going on. Their services are amazing. So just so that you guys can get familiar with Drew again and keep Copiers Plus in the forefront of your mind. So I'm glad to have you back. Now, as I understand it, you grew up in a family business. How did that shape how you do business at Copiers Plus?
Yeah, so it really shaped everything about it because it's the family business. Yeah. So Copiers Plus is the business that I grew up around. So I grew up around my grandparents, my dad, aunt, all doing business, and I would go there on the weekends. I'd go there after school. I'd play in the warehouse. I'd mess around with anything and everything that I could.
Yeah.
But it was always piquing my curiosity, especially the older that I got, as to what is this thing that they do and why do they always come to the office to do things like you sell a copier. Okay, I just used it for artwork or whatever.
Right.
I didn't know how it really worked into the business side of the economy, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So over time, about high school, I started doing more things in the summers, working, helping deliver. I did UPS shipments for a while, set up machines. So got to see a few of the different aspects of how the different roles within the organization worked. And that really opened my eyes to a whole new kind of perspective.
Right.
And then kind of from there, went to college at UNCW. Mm-hmm. And we have an office here, and after graduating I started with the company and started off in sales.
Yeah.
And that kind of led me to my position now.
Now, I was going to ask you about that because, like you said, you started off in sales and now you're the Director of Communications. How has that transition been for you?
I mean, it's been great. There's growing pains and learning curves with everything that you do. Mm-hmm. But I was able to really hone in on discovering what the challenges and pain points were for prospects and customers during my sales time.
Okay.
So being able to take that in to the marketing and communication side has been invaluable, because now I just have to take that information and figure out how it affects regionally, because we have 5 different locations, just office-wise, but we serve all of North Carolina. And my communication's more macro, and then providing the salespeople with the tools that they need to get micro with their customers and the prospects and the relationships that they have. So how do I support them? Yeah. And then how do I support all of North Carolina, and knowing who we are, what we can offer, and how they can better their processes when it comes to document technology.
Right. Now, okay, so when I think of sales and when I think of communications, everything is about, when you put it all together, it's about people and about getting to know people and having relationships and things like that. And I'm a firm believer of people getting to know you. Mm-hmm. Now, I understand that you're a girl dad.
I am.
And you're a Braves fan, as well as a West Wing fan.
Yep.
So does that shape how you interact with customers in any way?
Absolutely. If anybody knows me for more than 5 minutes, they've probably seen 5 different pictures or videos of my daughter. There's one, I dropped her off at daycare this morning, and I already showed 1 or 2 of the daycare workers there a video that happened over the weekend.
Yeah.
It's part of my life. if you don't have any passions, or you don't have anything that you truly value outside of work, then you're not going to be all that much fun to work with.
Yeah.
So my daughter, she's 2.5, born on Groundhog's Day in 2023.
Okay.
So she's in that real fun but also challenging time,
right,
where no has entered into the picture. Why she started why a little bit.
Everything. Why?
Been looking forward to that not being the case, but it's there. So it just keeps you on your toes, but it gives you a lot of things to talk about, because everything's not business.
Right.
And if you make everything business, where's your margin? Where's your passion for actually wanting to do business well?
Yeah.
It can get really mundane. So the passions outside of work, although family is family. I mean, that's everything about what I've done in my whole career.
Yeah.
Never had a career role. I mean, I've had some part-time jobs, throughout college and high school, but never had a career outside of the family business.
Yeah.
In a world where people are switching roles every 6 months to a year at times, and just hopping to the next thing. So I'm ingrained in the family dynamic, so it only makes sense that I'm ingrained in my family.
Right.
But the part about the West Wing and the Braves, I'm a big-time sports fan. And I coached for about 10 years, 8 years at the high school level, and 2 years in a rec level, 13, 14-year-old boys. And, that kind of was fueled by my passion for baseball, and the Braves are a big part of that. I collect baseball cards, so I'm a nerd in that way. So it just gives me some things to get outside of the day-to-day work.
Yeah.
But then you also learn quite a bit of things from your outside hobbies and interests that can influence how you do work better.
There you go.
And the West Wing, I think, is an example of that. I don't know how many people are familiar with it. It's kind of older.
Yeah.
I think it went off the air in like 06 or 07. But it has some just outstanding show, what's it called, story writing, the scripts and things, and the acting is just outstanding. But there's so many speeches in there, and so much detail, and seeing how these actors can come across as polished politicians and presidents and governors and senators when they're just actors. So being able to retain information and learn a very difficult, subject matter, and then display it to a worldwide audience, and be seen as that. Like people see, President Bartlett. They don't see Mr. Sheen.
Right.
So that's transformational. So then when I'm in a role where I'm trying to communicate Copiers Plus, and I have to learn, because I'm not in the day-to-day selling, how do you talk about some of these acronyms and some of these high-level things? Well, if the actor can do it,
So
maybe
can
I
you.
can.
That's
So
right.
what are some ways that they did it? So I've toyed around with speeches, and I actually have, I think, got a lot of my style from some of those influences from the West Wing.
I love that.
Like the political speech type of angle, and then also through reading lots of books about storytelling. I was a communication studies grad from UNCW, took storytelling and different courses that kind of shaped like my perspective. I think everybody has a story. And everybody wants to hear a story instead of, and they want to be invited into the story. So finding ways to do that, and I think your hobbies and making it personal, because I am a person. I'm not a robot. And they're not either. So if you want just a purely transactional type of way of doing business, It's not me.
Right.
And it's not Copiers Plus. If you just want price quotes and things like that and you don't want a partner, then there's plenty of people out there for you. But if you want a relationship, you want somebody that's going to be actively looking for ways to help you improve your business, improve your security, improve your bottom line. That comes with getting to know the person, because you don't let anybody in to your most confidential information.
That's right. And I love that the fact that you said about everybody has a story. So a lot of times when it's business, even though it's a business transaction, there's a reason why they came to you, and there's a story behind whatever that reason is. And I love the fact that you all take the time to say, okay, instead of it being like, I need this stuff right now, you're taking the time to find out what exactly is going on with that customer and why they need this and things of that sort. So you hit the nail on the head with that.
Yeah, and it's trust. I mean, it comes down to trust. And if you can trust somebody to care for you.
Yeah.
And that's what we've tried to do over the almost 40 years in business, is to be dependable, someone you can trust on. The integrity is going to be there. You don't have to worry about that. And then it's just a matter of, can we fill the needs that you have?
Yeah.
And can we, proactively mitigate some of the risks that could come in the future?
Love that. Love that. Now, you guys have been a family-owned business for over 40 years. Is that correct?
Almost. So we're in our 40th year, but November 1st of this year is going to be our 40th anniversary. So my grandfather started the business on November 1st, 1985.
Okay.
Yep, in Fayetteville. And then my dad joined the year after, along with my grandmother and my aunt. And then we've had my uncle, my brother-in-law, me, all get involved.
So this really is a family-owned business, not just 2 or 3 of you guys.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we got about 50 employees as well across our 5 locations, which Fayetteville is our corporate. We have Raleigh, Wilmington, Greensboro, and Nashville.
Love that. Love that. Now, as far as your services, tell us a little bit more about what you do, because when I think of copiers, in my limited thinking, I just think of, going somewhere and say, okay, give me a copy. I know you guys do more than that. So if you don't mind telling us a little bit more about your services.
Yeah. So one thing we actually don't do is the actual copying. So
see?
There's that. So we don't do, prints and things like that. We actually facilitate the sale of the equipment to companies to do that on their own.
Okay.
But it's a lot more than that. So really, everybody has documents that they deal with in their businesses and their organizations. We work with a lot of nonprofits as well. And really, it can be printed, it can be scanned, it can be solely digital, though not as much as people may think, because there's always some loose documents that are needed. And it might not be because of your business, it might be because of the entities that you have to deal with outside. You might have to deal with a lawyer, you might have to deal with medical records, you might have to deal with governmental whatever documents that need to be hard copy signed, faxed, scanned, whatever it may be. So what is the mousetrap for getting those documents where they need to be? And then if they're edited, what's your version control? How are they secured? There's different regulations for different industries. Do you have medical records? Do you have personnel information that you need to keep confidential? So there's all these different avenues that are involved with documents, because those documents contain data that can be sensitive. So we hear a lot about data breaches. Well, data oftentimes, if not all the time, reside in documents. So how are you securing that? It's not just up in the IT side of things, but that does transition into other offerings that we do, which are more on the document management side.
Okay.
And that's looking at your workflows. So what's the life of a document? So if you have a purchase order, how does that originate and how does that conclude? What are the steps in between? How can we simplify that? How can we manage it? How can the copier be a conduit to making that process seamless.
Okay.
Approval processes, you can work those in, and there's countless different options that you can have, but they're all unique to the individual organization that we're working with.
Got it.
Now, don't get me wrong, we still do all of the regular things that copier companies have been doing for ages.
Right.
We still offer you copiers and printers and service that you can use for your day-to-day, but it's so much more. We go beyond the printed page into the cloud applications that you're using. How can we integrate with that? Do you use SharePoint? Do you use OneDrive? Are you using Microsoft 365? How are people within your organization utilizing their documents? How are you controlling what they have access to and what they don't? How are you controlling what they print and what they don't? How are you budgeting for your printers in your office? Are you?
Yeah.
Do you know what it costs when someone in your organization presses file and then print? What does that equal?
Right.
Because there is a number. Now, whether you know it or not, I can't tell you.
Right.
But we can help you. We can help you diagnose what that is. We can help you put a plan in place for your printed documents, along with how you handle your documents securely and proactively for what you're trying to achieve in your business.
Now, I'm glad you brought up a lot of the technology, because technology is always changing. So how does Copier Plus, I know you have to keep up with every technology. Does it change a lot with your industry? Does it change?
Yeah, so everything's changing, like you said, but there's two different aspects of that. There's the service side, and then there's like the sales side, the broader vision. So there's new technology that comes out, and that affects what you might be selling. Features, like you can think about features on the sales side, like what are people looking for, and adapting. AI is a big example of that. But then on the service side, things are always changing, and that might not be so much publicized.
Right.
So there's a lot of firmware updates, there's a lot of changes that Microsoft or Google or people might be making that have unintended consequences to your office technology.
Right.
If you update to the newest, software for your computer, what does that do to the print drivers that are on all of your copiers or your printers? Like, there are consequences. Consequences not necessarily in a bad thing, but a cause and effect. Because those mega companies aren't worried about, things that aren't in their system. So having a managed plan, having someone that you can call to rectify things when they happen, or someone that's going to educate you on them before they happen so that you can put the proper checks and balances in place, is important. So oftentimes just the features and the, what's on the horizon is talked about, but not so much the things on the back end where a service team can really dial in and make sure you're up and running to something that you didn't even know was happening. And that's part of that service plan that we offer.
Now, is there anything that you guys, any service coming up that you guys are offering, or anything that you guys really are focusing on that you'd like to let the customers know about?
I wouldn't say necessarily a new service or anything like that, but really want people to just know about our managed print services program, and then really all the document technology that we talked about. That is a conversation that's going to take place no matter what you bring us in for. It's just a matter of whether you want to go down that avenue or not. But that's our expertise, right?
Okay.
We're going to talk about that. So it's not necessarily you got to pick and choose like one thing. We're just going to talk about that. If you're an expert in the field and you start to see signs of what something might be, aided with, you're going to speak into that. We want to be those advisors. But the managed print services plan, what that is, offices have, ways of printing documents, scanning documents. Maybe there's scanners, printers, all mixed in. we look at a holistic way of managing anything that has to do with a document in your office.
Okay.
Not just, okay, we'll put a copier in and, you know, call us in 5 years. Like, that's not how we operate.
Good.
But a lot of times what we find are store-bought devices, and they're sprinkled throughout. You know, somebody in, you know, accounting might have their own desktop printer, maybe multifunction, because they need it sectioned away, so they're not printing checks to the main copier and somebody finding it and like, oh, Johnny gets $5,000 more than me.
Yeah.
Like, those things are important, going back to the kind of the security of data. So looking at holistically how an office is managing their printing, because a lot of times what's happening is they might manage the copier through an outsourced contract, but then the printers are the wild, wild west, along with the scanners. Like, you need something, just go buy it. But the way these store-bought printers and, you know, office printers that you might get online or at the store operate is low investment on the hardware side.
Okay.
But then you're spending a ton on the ink, and then they're also coming out with a new model much quicker. So when you're buying that ink in bulk, by the time you're actually using it, it's a new device that you had to put in, because there's no consumables, there's no parts on that hardware. So when you get a paper jam, you throw that printer away and you get a new one. Well, now the new one doesn't match the toner or the ink that you just bought. So now you're having to buy in bulk to save money again. And nobody knows what that's actually costing. You got a supply closet full of old toner, ink, and printers that you don't use anymore. It's taking up space in your office. There's no cohesive plan. Everybody's just going to, like, the office manager to say, hey, I need something. And it's okay, pop in and buy it. But what is that costing your business?
Right.
What if there was a better way? What if you could know what to budget for, and you had a clear budget line item for each month for you know, several years to come? And then when things do come up and you are expanding into a new office, there's a protocol, there's someone to talk to, there's an advisor, there's someone that can walk through with you what the best play may be, and then get your thoughts, get your buy-in, and your plan for what you want. So it's really just taking things that have just been done because they're necessities for doing business, but not managed and not planned for, and trying to give a path forward as to what it could cost, and oftentimes how you can save money, save time, and become more secure in how you're doing your business.
Now, we love the word save in all forms. Now, okay, so we talked about technology, we talked about the business side, we talked about the personal side of you, and I would love to talk about the human side. And what I mean by that is ConnectCapeFear.com is a true believer of giving back to the community. How does your company, Copiers Plus, how do they give back to the community? Is there anything that you guys do?
Yes. So, as I mentioned, we're going into our 40th anniversary on November 1st. It's something we launched, I think it was last November, was the 40 Years of Caring campaign. And what we did is we partnered with our dealer, Kyocera, the provider of our hardware. And we wanted to do something special because 40 years is something to celebrate. It's not a common thing. So just a social post or, you know, something like that isn't worthy of the hard work and, you know, the dedication that it took to get there, and the partners that you've had along the way. So in partnership with Kyocera, we created this program called 40 Years of Caring, and what we did was we opened up nominations to all organizations across North Carolina, and people could nominate organizations to receive $500 checks from us. So we did 40 organizations, $500 each, so $20,000 total. Invested into the North Carolina communities, organizations, mostly nonprofits, and all across the state. Like the geographical outlay is all
That's
over because I'm
amazing.
trying to get to each one.
Yeah.
And do the big check picture and write a blog and all these things. But they're pretty spread out.
Yeah.
But it was really powerful to read because we had about 90-ish complete submissions. And man, that was a tough task. We had a little task force internally with some different roles and different locations. So there was diversity in the group that was selecting, and pretty much unanimously everybody was like, "This is one of the toughest things that we had to do," because trying to decide between so many worthy causes, and it really opens your eyes to the really good work that's going on in your communities, and a lot of times the thankless work that's going in and all the resources that it actually takes.
Yeah.
It's really powerful when they can tell you $500 would provide XYZ for X amount of people.
Yeah.
It would provide 600 meals for, it's really powerful. So it makes you change your perspective as to your day-to-day, how you're viewing what you do.
Yeah.
What you're doing is allowing an impact to be made on the community. And, we've had a heart of giving back, but through this exercise, I think it's only grown.
Yeah.
So it's been really exciting, still working on, the blogs and getting that information out, because that's another opportunity that was through this is not only are we, donating money, but trying to give a platform in which people can see what that organization does and how they can help. So,
how eye-opening is that, though?
It's
probably a lot of organizations that you didn't even know existed. You know?
It was. And, tears and everything else come because you're talking about stories like we did before. There's very impactful stories that go along because these companies, these organizations are impacting lives.
Yeah.
And the best way for them to tell their story is through the stories of those that they've helped.
Yeah.
And so when you're reading these, it's powerful.
Awesome.
And so we're just excited that we got to be a small part of their story.
Yeah.
In honoring our story.
Awesome.
It's kind of a web of things,
Yeah.
but it's powerful in its own right.
Awesome. Now, do me a favor. Tell everybody, how can they get in touch with either you or the company, or if they want to find out more information about Copiers Plus?
Yep. So my name's Drew Smith, and you can email me directly at drew@copiers-plus.com. That's COPIERS-plus.com. And then you can reach out to us online at copiers-plus.com, or you can give us a call, 800-648-7081. And then we're also Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Copiers Plus. We're the NC one, so just look for North Carolina. Copiers Plus NC in Google will pop up. Flag me down in the street, whatever you gotta do. Well, I'm here.
Awesome. Well, listen, we want to thank Drew Smith for coming in today of Copiers Plus. He's always amazing and definitely a great communicator. So that title was definitely yours. Awesome, guys. We are out of here, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.